Hello everyone, welcome to Startup Academy. So in today's lecture, we shall be talking about a new topic related to your history unit. So in this unit, we shall be discussing about the Rowlatt Act 1919, as you can see over here. So you can write down the unit name, unit here. The representation of unit will be Rowlatt Act, and this act has been stated by this picture in a very small term. Okay? So in this video, we shall be talking about the Rowlatt Act. Along with the Rowlatt Act, we shall be discussing how did Satyagraha evolve, and after the Satyagraha, how did Jallianwala Bagh tragedy happen. So let us understand all these things in just a brief, क्योंकि बाद में तो you will be getting a PDF. ठीक है, तो अभी स्टोरी शुरू होती है. You just need to hear what I am saying and you just need to see the mind map. तो उसके बाद things will you can work out however you want to or whichever way you want to follow. ठीक है, तो क्या होता है, वर्ल्ड वॉर का सीन है. वर्ल्ड वॉर का सीन था जो चल रहा था आपका 1914 से. ठीक है, 1914 की बात चल रही है. वर्ल्ड वॉर का सीन इज ऑलरेडी गोइंग ऑन. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग सिंस वर्ल्ड वॉर इज गोइंग ऑन, देयरफॉर द इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ ब्रिटिश was much. British were sitting in which part of India? British were sitting in which part of the world? They were sitting in India. Therefore, India was also participating in the World War, that too unnecessarily, and that was the forceful, we can say, that was the forceful involvement of Indians into the World War. Now, what happens is, since people of India were against this particular thing and they did not want to participate in that, also the people of India were seeing themselves as the slave of the British public. Therefore, there was internal uprising or the internal national movements or hartals or protests that were going on. So there was internal, we can say, there was internal disturbances going on in India, which were not harming anyone but the Britishers. So Britishers were facing war from this side and war from this side. On both the sides, the Britishers were facing war. So in order to deal with this situation, Britishers decided to launch something in order to protect themselves from both the side. Obviously world war के against तो launch नहीं हो सकता था, तो they decided to launch it inside the country of India. So they launched an act known as Defense India Defense Act. This act was launched by British public in 1915 and 1914 के बीच में ये कभी launch हुआ था, which said that if any Indian would trouble or create nuisance in the name of nationalism in India itself or in the territory, then we shall place that body in jail for a certain period of time, say years, 2 years, like that sort of year. So here we can say that the Martial Act was launched or proposed at that period of time. Now this was going on, and British public launched this act, due to which this again hit the sentiments of the public, of Indian public, and the the Indian public went against Britishers because of this act. Now we can say that in 1917, we can say that the World War ended. And so this Martial Act had also or was supposed to come to an end, but before it could come to an end, Britishers decided that if we will take back this act within 6 months, we will have to, because if we will take back this act, what will happen? The Indian people will again bring the uprisings. They will again start their national movements, and we will be thrown out of the Indian territory, and which we do not want. Therefore, what they decided was, they said that instead of this act, we need to set up a committee. So they decided to set up a committee. Therefore, in 1915 or 19 from 1915 to 1917, a committee was set up. A committee was set up by the Britishers, and once this committee was set up under the name of, say, Sir Rowlatt. Sir Rowlatt was the member of that committee, and there were certain rules to which the committee need to look upon. So the first and the major thing for which, or the purpose of the committee, if I will write the purpose of the committee, the aim of the committee or the purpose of the committee was to prevent the national movements occurring or to happen in Indian territory. So the main purpose was to prevent nationalism in India. This was to be prevented. Therefore, Sir Rowlatt said that he said that we need to improvise this act. We cannot carry on this forward. Therefore, he said that Indian Defence Act needs to be improvised, and I would name that act as Rowlatt Act 1919. He said that we need to specify this act, and this act would be known as Rowlatt Act. There were certain rules of this Rowlatt Act. We shall be discussing about them as well. So this is how this Rowlatt Act came into force, because Britishers wanted कि nationalism की feeling कभी भी जागरूक ना हो, कभी भी uprising ऐसी ना आए Britishers के against. Therefore, a permanent act, or we can say that India Defence Act turned or stretched, we can say that, was turned or stretched to an infinite time, which turned out to be nothing but Rowlatt Act 1990. So this was how the Rowlatt Act came into force. Now, obviously, Indian people were not satisfied with the Rowlatt Act. Why? The basic reasons were, we can say that no gathering allowed, or we can say that no arms allowed, any time entry of police inside the house of common people, of commoners or commons, anytime police could enter or something like this could happen. And if certain sort of proof has been found, like Hind Kalab Jindabad and certain sort of other details were found, then jail without proving in front of court, that was for 2 years. No proving, no presenting in front, nothing, no memorandum, nothing, but jail for 2 years. Also, people were not allowed to sit together to celebrate. No celebration. Celebration was supposed to be done by gatherings. People were not allowed to gather, therefore no celebration. And a special court, a special type of court with a bench of 3 judges were there. Bench of 3 judges. Special type of court with a bench of 3 judges would be there, who would be dealing with certain cases related to people captured or people arrested in the name of nationalism or doing something of that sort. So this was whole the Rowlatt Act was, the purposes, the aims that it need to serve. So this all again hurt the sentiments of the public. Therefore, what did the public decide? Public decided that we will oppose it. Opposition started. And once the opposition started, the main leader of the opposition became Mahatma Gandhi. And once the Mahatma Gandhi came into the force or came into action, he launched a new movement, namely Satyagraha. Satyagraha 1999. Satyagraha movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi ji in the year 1999, which said that we would be holding on hartals, we would be holding on, we can say, what do we call that, protest and everything in order to fight. But we will stay and we will follow the rule of non-violence against the British public. So that was the basic idea of Mahatma Gandhi to start with the Satyagraha movement or Satyagraha action or movement for that period of time. And this was launched in April, on April 3rd, that was 1919. Okay, everything was happening. Whereas when this whole thing was happening on April 3, 1919, what happened was April 3, 1919, launching of Satyagraha. इतना हो गया. लॉन्च होने के बाद क्या हुआ? अभी चलते हैं April 7 में. April 7, 1919 में what happened was April 7, 1919 में everything was well and fine, everything was going on good terms according to Mahatma Gandhi ji. Therefore, on April 7, two basic leaders, or not basic actually, two popular leaders, we can say that, in Amritsar, two popular leaders were arrested. Okay, one more thing happened. When this Rowlatt Act was launched, there were major leaders who said that we shall not be the part of this particular thing anymore. So, therefore, what did they do? They said that we shall be leaving your estate. We will not be working under the British government anymore. So, among them, the basic leaders were, or we can not basic actually, the popular personalities were Muhammad Jinnah was there. Then Madan Mohan Malviya and B.N. Sharma, along with others. Major leaders were there. So they all did what? They all resigned from their post that was given to them by the British government. So this was all about a particular thing about Rowlatt Act. Now coming on to the April 7, when in Amritsar two popular leaders, among which one was your Satyapal, Dr. Satyapal, and the another personality was Kitchlu. These two leaders, number two leader and number one leader, they were arrested on basis of like Rowlatt Act only. So these two leaders were arrested and they were put into jail. Since these two leaders were arrested, therefore, who came into force now? People. Now people started fighting. People became very aggressive. Aggressive कैसे हो गए? हमारे लीडर्स को किडनैप करोगे तो हम अग्रेसिव भी नहीं होंगे. तो लीडर्स को किया किडनैप. पीपल बिकेम वेरी अग्रेसिव कि अब वी वांट टू फाइट. देयरफॉर व्हाट डिड दे डू? दे स्टार्टेड burning flags, all signs of British, and they started destroying things. Destruction started. When all these things happened, therefore, what happened was Gandhiji now said that this was not my plan. My plan was to launch Satyagraha to involve mass movement. I did not plan all these particular things, and I never wanted these two great leaders to be arrested. Therefore, Gandhiji said that I am withdrawing myself. I am withdrawing. I am withdrawing this satyagraha movement and I do not want to be part of it. तभी April 6 May 1919 again hartal was there that was bhuk hartal was there throughout the India. So that is also you can mark important. So after the withdrawal of this particular thing, things did not stop in Amritsar. Now what come into forces? Now comes the major role of the black body, that is Major Dyer. Major Dyer. Who was Major Dyer? Major Dyer was major because of the Martial Act was involved during the World War time. So after all those particular things happened, Major Dyer said that I will take part in this Amritsar, whatever is happening. So in Amritsar, people were, we can say that people were in Amritsar, यहाँ पर अमृतसर के जलियांवाला बाग में people were gathered for Baisakhi. People were gathered for Baisakhi. Major Dyer said that let me take control over this and let me handle the situation. He came and he asked all his army to attack on the public. Here we can say approximately more than 1,000 plus people were there, along with children and innocent lives were there. And the dies, people died. More than 1,000 people died because of this brutal killing or brutal asking from the Major Dyer to attack the public unnecessarily. So this was just a simple gathering, and he said that I attacked it because I felt that people were having arms and people were planning against the British government. Therefore, it became necessary for me to give command to my army in order to attack such people. Then came on forward that how can children or how can women carry the arms? How will you justify this statement? So General Dyer said that I felt like that. So on this basis, on the basis of his feeling, he killed thousands of people and thousands of children that were gathered in Jallianwala Bagh for the festival called Baisakhi. So all this happened on April again, and the main incident that is 1990. So hence Jallianwala Bagh massacre happened. So this is whole that we're gonna study about. After that, what happened was after this Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, Major Dyer was called, and people decided that Rowlatt Act should be taken back, and hence the Rowlatt Act was taken back. After this whole particular thing happened, Rowlatt Act was taken back under the leadership or under the Lord name as Lord Chelmsford. So all these particular things happened, and who all were leaders, what all were the dates, what all were the names. So this is what we're gonna study. I hope you have understood what we shall be studying: the World War, scene starting from the World War and scene ending at this taking back of Rowlatt Act. All right, so let's come to our main topic. Coming to our main topic, it says that Rowlatt Act 1919, Rowlatt Act Committee was Sir Sidney Rowlatt, as we have just studied, and it started in March 1919. This act was passed. Then the key leaders were Mahatma Gandhi ji, Muhammad Ali Jinnah was there, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak was there. Provision says that arrest without warrant, detention without trial, and restrictions on press, that you will not be able to communicate. Communication was during that period of time, that was basically on the basis of press, so no appeal rights, nothing was given. Now Rowlatt Satyagraha started. Important dates you can see, that was 6 April, nationwide hartal was there. According to who asked this hartal for? Mahatma Gandhi ji asked, and leaders were Mahatma Gandhi, Saifuddin Kichlu was there, and Satyapal. These two leaders, as you can remember, abhi humne padha tha that during the Amritsar event, these two leaders were arrested. Then, first of all, India mass movement, non-violent protests, and hartals and strikes were there until these two great leaders were arrested. After the arrest of these two leaders, the public in Amritsar became violent against the British rule. Therefore, they started destroying things out there. And that was when Mahatma Gandhi ji withdraw his movement. Then we have the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. It happened on April 13, 1990. Massacre at Amritsar, that was Baisakhi for Baisakhi, people were gathered. Personalities were General Dyer was there, Michael Dewar was there, that was the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, and he was the one who actually ordered firing. So these two names you need to remember whenever this question comes. You should write about this. Also, there is one question in your year 2025 that we can discuss tomorrow. Then we are here we have certain details which says that peaceful gathering fired upon, exit gates were blocked, and hundreds of lives were killed. Hundreds of people they are saying, but there were thousands of people because proofs have already been destroyed. Then we have the reactions and the consequences. Reaction was Rabindranath Tagore re-announced knighthood. Then Hunter Commission was formed, and that led to starting of new movements. That was the non-cooperation movement that actually turned brutal. So non-cooperation movement we have already done, and this is just the brief explanation how you can tell. So this was all about Rowlatt Act, Satyagrah, and Jallianwala Bagh tragedy or massacre. So this is how they all are related. I hope this lecture you will find very helpful. And if you have any query related to this particular thing, you can ask us in the comment section or you can even call us. Thank you and keep watching.